go ahead and prep my skin because today's video I'm going to be testing out the Sally Beauty brand. I think I've never seen this anywhere else. This is from the brand COLLAB, and I'm going to be trying out the Bright Spark Radiant Foundation, and then I'm also going to be testing out the COLLAB Beauty Concealer. So I'm going to start off by using my Clinique Moisture Surge Face Spray. I'm almost out of this. This is definitely something that I will repurchase. And then for primer, I'm going to use the Touch in Sol No Problem Primer. I can never say that. I'm just going to do one pump of this. The first time I used it, I used two, and I think it was just a little too much. So I really like this. It does like smooth out my skin. I don't like the smell, but since I do have dry skin, I like that it'll smooth it out without over drying my skin. So I'm just going to read you guys a little bit of information about this foundation. So this foundation retails for $14.99, so $15, which I think is I don't know. This and the concealer cost me about a little over $30 with tax, and to me that seemed a little extreme since I purchased them at Sally Beauty. I don't know. But this says the revolutionary silky smooth formula seamlessly blends into skin, creating an immaculate complexion with radiant luminosity. Polishes, smooths, and evens skin for a picture-perfect complexion, low, medium, buildable coverage with a luminous glow. And then this also comes in 10 different shades, and it's rated 4.7 stars out of 10 reviews. So this does come with a pump, so that's always a plus. I have the shade Beige 04. I think it's a pretty good shade match. Might be like a little bit dark. The bottle just says Bright Spark Radiant Foundation. You get 1 full ounce. And that's all the bottle says. So as always, I'm going to do one side of my face with a sponge and one side with a brush. So I think I'm going to start off with the 2 pumps on the back of my hand. That doesn't seem like a lot. Let's do 3. So I'm going to do 3. Feels really creamy. Actually, that might be a pretty good shade match. And I'm going to use my damp Morphe sponge. This smells like a foundation that I've used before, but I can't figure it out. Like, the smell isn't too overwhelming, but there's definitely a scent to it. It kind of smells like paint, but it's not as bad as the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation that smells like you can smell that from across the room. So I'm just going to use the rest that's on my hand. So this is 3 pumps. I feel like it's been forever since I've done a foundation first impression, and I love these videos. Okay, so this is what we have here. It doesn't look super luminous to me, but I did use kind of like a matte primer. So I'm assuming that you could probably manipulate this foundation with whatever primer that you use underneath. I should have did a matte primer on one side and a luminous one on the other side. So I would say this is definitely medium coverage. I can still see a little bit of redness right here. I can see that little red dot I have right there. But I don't mind having like a lighter coverage foundation as long as I have a full coverage concealer. So I'm going to take 3 pumps again, and I'm going to use my Huda, how do you say it? Huda Beauty foundation brush. No, ever since I washed it, it just doesn't feel the same. I don't know. But I do really like this brush. Well, I did. I guess we'll see. It just feels weird now. So I'm going to pick some up with this, and I'm going to stipple this on this side. Ooh, I think I messed up this brush when I washed it. But I mean, I could not wash it. You know what I mean? Do this, because when I picked it up, it just soaked up in the brush. Like, I normally like to use a sponge for my foundations, but sometimes I'll use a brush, but I always go over the brush side with a sponge anyways. But if you do want to get more coverage, usually using a brush does that for you. And I do have like a little bit left on the back of my hand, and I already got more coverage from using the brush. So I'm just going to try to build up these areas, and I'm going to come over here and build up that area too with the brush. So as much as I love using a sponge for my foundation. I think the brush with this foundation is the way to go unless you don't want a lot of coverage. But if you want to get the most coverage using less product, I would definitely use a brush with this. And I think the shade is okay. I thought it was going to be a little too dark, but I think it worked out. Now I'm just going to go over lightly with my sponge just to make sure there's no brush strokes. So this is what my skin looks like up close. This is using 6 pumps. I feel like that's a lot of product, but I think I could probably use 3 pumps and just use a brush all over my face and be okay. But I'm okay with this amount of coverage. So now I'm going to be testing out the concealer, and I believe I got the fairest shade of this. This is the No Flaws Liquid Concealer, and this is in the shade Porcelain 01. This is a big tube. So I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit about this. So this retails for $12.99. It has 4 stars out of 4 reviews, 8 different shades. So it says this luxurious creamy concealer corrects and perfects with light diffusing technology. Skin feels smooth and hydrated while looking flawless and fresh. Buildable medium to full coverage and a natural luminous finish. So since I didn't get like super full coverage with the foundation, this is medium to full coverage. So hopefully that will just help out. This is a really big container and it is kind of like a flat slanted doe foot. Oh, it feels really nice. And then this smells just like the foundation, kind of like a paint smell. Feels pretty lightweight too. So I'm just going to use my Morphe E45 and I'm going to press that into my skin. Ooh, I like this. This is a really nice concealer. I don't necessarily think it's full coverage though. And now I'm going to do the center of my face with my sponge. I think this looks really nice. I think the foundation and the concealer complement each other. So this is what the foundation and concealer look like up close. I really like this concealer. This is definitely a concealer that I would use with other foundations, not just this one. So I'm going to do a little bit of cream contouring because I like to apply powder on camera with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and contour my nose real quick. I'm just going to be using this L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Concealer in the shade Medium. I kind of stopped contouring everything else but the center of my face. And I'm using my Artiste Oval 3 brush. To set my under eyes, I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. I'm not a big fan of this, but I'm trying to use it up. And I'm going to apply that using my Morphe M536. This is my favorite brush to set my under eyes. So I'm just going to go through with my Morphe E45 and make sure I don't have any creases. And then to set the rest of my face, I'm using my Lancome Translucent Loose Powder, and this is in the shade 100. This does have like a tint to it, so... And I'm just going to use this BH Cosmetics V11 brush. Whenever I use powder to set my face, I'm not really like precise. I just kind of like push it in, and then I'll let it sit, and then I'll dust off the excess with like a stippling brush. So this is what my skin looks like with the foundation, concealer, and me setting it with powder. I think it looks really nice. I definitely took all the luminosity away from the foundation because it is supposed to be a radiant foundation, and I turned it completely matte, which I'm not mad about it. Like, I think it looks nice. but I think that just goes to show that you can definitely use a primer to manipulate it. So if I would have used like a moisturizing primer, I would have probably got more like a radiant luminous finish, but since I chose to use a more matte primer, this is the outcome that I got. So right now it is 1:35, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys for a second, finish up the rest of my makeup, and I'll be back to let you guys know what I think. Okay, so it's 2 o'clock now. I'm gonna tell you guys everything that I put on my face, and then I'm gonna let you know everything that I'm thinking. It's not very good. But, so for bronzer and a little bit of contour, like I said, I don't really contour my face anymore, but I went ahead and went in with my Lorac Pro palette, and I just took a mixture of the light contour and the medium contour shade. This is a really good bronzer shade, and then I just threw this in there just for whatever, and that's what I used for like a bronzer contour around my face. For blush and highlighter, I used the Physicians Formula Casey Holmes collab. The blush is called Copper Cabana, and the highlighter is called Just Beachy, so these two right here. And then I just threw in this cream shade called Do Not Disturb and the deep bronzer, butter bronzer in my crease and a little bit on my lower lash line. For mascara, so this is a lifesaver. This is definitely going to be in a upcoming video about my current favorites. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise Base. I love this, but I do have to curl my lashes really well, and I didn't really do that this time, so that's why they're kind of falling. But the other times when I actually take the time to curl my lashes, this stuff is so good. And then I used my Rimmel Lash Accelerator for mascara. For lips, I lined them with Lime Crime Velveteen's lip liner in the shade Taupist. And then for my lip color, I have the Fenty Beauty Uncuffed Liquid Lipstick. And then for my brows, I just used my Anastasia Dip Brow in the shade Blonde. I used a ColourPop eyebrow pencil. I don't know what the shade is. It already wore off. And then I used my Model in a Bottle eyebrow sealer, and then a Cella concealer eyebrow stick to kind of like clean them up a little bit. And then to set my face, I used a little bit of MAC Fix Plus mixed in with NYX Matte Finish. I figured since I was already matte, I might as well use a matte setting spray as well. So here's what I'm thinking. I don't 100% like how this is looking, and just by me setting it with powder and then choosing the primer that I did, I don't feel like I did this foundation like any justice. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm gonna go ahead and go out throughout the day and do check-ins every 4 hours like I normally do, and then I always keep the foundation on for at least 10 hours. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'm gonna add in a part 2 at the end of this video, and I'm gonna use a moisturizing primer and more of like a cream bronzer and then a like dewy setting spray, and I'm going to see if I can bring out the dewy luminous of this foundation. I don't hate how it looks. I just don't think that I used the foundation to its full potential, if that makes sense. Also, what I thought was weird, I think it's actually the Laura Mercier Secret Under Eye Brightening Powder that I used, but when I was applying my eyeshadow on this eye, like it started clumping off. Like I don't think it was skin or anything, but I feel like it was like a mix of the concealer with that powder, and it was just like peeling off my eyelid. It was like disgusting. Like it literally looked like dead skin falling off, but I think it was just a combination of the concealer and the powder, like I said. But like, ew, like that hasn't happened to me before, unless I was super dry. My skin isn't super dry right now, so I don't know what that was about. So that's another reason why I want to like try it out again. But other than that, I mean, the shade is nice. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and go out throughout my day. I'll see you guys back here in about 3 or 4 hours for another check-in, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts. But I think it'll be cool to see how this foundation wears throughout the day when I matted it out, and then I think for part 2, when I use it more of like a luminous dewy foundation, how long it lasts that way as well. So yeah, I'll see you guys here in a couple hours and I'll give you an update. Hey guys, so I'm back and it's 6:29, so I've had this foundation on for at least 4.5 hours, I think. Something like that. Anyway, so I just ate, so you can see right here is all messed up. But two, like I have so many dry, flaky patches right here on my chin. And I think it might be because of that primer, which I just used the other day and it didn't do that. So I don't know what's going on now. But I figured I would try to fix this on camera just to see. So I'm just going to go over my chin with this Maybelline Dream Wonder Powder. This is in the shade 25 Buff Beige. I've had this forever, probably should get rid of it. I mean, it doesn't smell funny or anything, but I'm just gonna use the little poof that's in there. I feel like that just made my chin like really dark. So let's go ahead and take some of this powder and I'm gonna put it right here because I am getting a little oily. Not sure if that really helped or if it just darkened up my skin. Oh my gosh, if you guys could see all these dry patches right here. I wonder what that is. I haven't had dry patches there in forever. Let's try this Wet n Wild Reserve Your Cabana powder and see if that will help. Oh my gosh, I think I just made it worse. Like, hopefully you can see how bad that is right there. Ugh. So it's a good thing I'm going to rewear this foundation tomorrow because something weird is going on right here. So anyways, I will see you guys here in another 4 hours. I think it'll be like 10:30 the next time I see you guys, and I'll let you know. But other than that, like, I think this looks okay. Like my cheek area, my neck and everything, but right here looks horrible and right here looks horrible. Like, hey guys, so I'm back and it's 11:18 if you can see that. So I've had this foundation on for almost 10 hours, but I'm gonna go ahead and take it off now. And like, honestly, I can't wait for tomorrow because it just, something didn't work out for me. Like, I don't like how it looks on my forehead or my chin. So I feel like matting out this foundation is just not the way to go. Like, I think I need to leave it the way it was intended, like luminous and dewy, radiant is what it says. So for tomorrow, I'm gonna use a moisturizing primer. I'm gonna use like a cream bronzer, like cream products, so we can keep like the radiant part and not matte it out like I did today. And I'm definitely not gonna use that Touch in Soul primer just yet. It's like the first time I used that primer, I was just fine. Like, it was fine. Like, it worked just fine for me. So maybe it just wasn't a good match with this, or it could have been that Lancome powder as well. I don't know. It could have been a numerous amount of things that just didn't go well with this foundation and concealer. So I want to give it another try tomorrow and wear it luminous for 10 hours. So let me know what you guys think of this right now, like how it is matte. Like, if you like it, like what do you think? And if you've tried this foundation and if you set it with powder or left it luminous, like let me know that as well. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, so I'm back to try out this foundation again. I'm actually filming this a week later because right after I took off the foundation, I had like a chemical burn or something. You can see like my cheeks are still pretty red, but I had like a burn all over my face. I don't think it was from the foundation. I think it was from the makeup remover that I used. But I've used the makeup remover before, so I'm not exactly sure what happened, but like my face was screwed. I didn't wear makeup at all for like 8 days. It was crazy. So now that I feel like my skin is finally back to normal, I'm going to film the part 2 of this video. So I'm going to try to make this COLLAB Bright Spark Radiant Foundation and the concealer look as dewy and luminous as I think it's supposed to be. So I'm going to spray my face first with my Clinique Moisture Surge Spray. For primer, I'm going to use something moisturizing since last time I used a kind of like a matte primer. So this is the Laura Geller Spackle Hydrating Moisturizing Under Makeup Primer. This is the most moisturizing primer I've ever used. This is definitely something that I will continue to repurchase. It's almost more moisturizing than my moisturizer. How many times can I say moisturizer? So if I remember right, I used 3 pumps on one side and 3 on the other. So I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to give this a quick shake. Do 3 on the back of my hand. I'm going to do this side with my Eco Tool sponge. I really hope that that chemical burn that I got did not come from this foundation, because I am not looking forward to going through that again, because that was awful. So I'm already liking how this foundation looks 10 times better on top of a moisturizing primer than I did on top of that matte one. I think it looks so much better. My skin is so sensitive. Oh my gosh. So this is 3 pumps with my sponge. I'm happy with this coverage. I think that if you want a little bit more, you could definitely add some more because this does build up pretty nicely. I just don't think it builds up to like full coverage, but I like how this looks so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that. I'm gonna do 3 more pumps on the back of my hand. I think this is the brush I used last time, this Huda Beauty foundation brush. I'm just going to use this on this side. I really feel like when I washed this brush, I ruined it because it's like, I mean, I remember it being stiff when I first got it, but now it's like super stiff. So I did get about the same amount of coverage and I still have quite a bit left on the back of my hand. So I still think applying this with a brush, if you want to get more coverage with less product, I prefer how it looks with the sponge, but if I'm trying to get the most for my money, then I think it's definitely better to apply with a brush and then maybe go over with the sponge. So that way you don't have to use like so much product. It's just, I just don't really like applying foundation with brushes. I just don't like it. And I know I always get a bunch of comments and people are always like, oh, well, you're just wasting product using a sponge. Like you need to use a brush, blah, blah, blah. And like, I get that. Like I totally get that, but it's just like my own personal preference is a sponge. Maybe I just haven't found like a favorite foundation brush yet. So maybe if I could find like one that I actually really liked, I would feel different about it. So this is 6 pumps sponge brush. I'm just gonna lightly go over the brush side with the sponge just to make sure there's no brush strokes. And I can already tell I like this foundation 10 times more with that primer than I did at the beginning of this video with the, I think I used the Touch in Sol primer. So now I'm gonna apply the concealer. I'm going to use my Morphe E45. I always use this brush to blend in my concealer. It's so good. And then I'm going to do the center of my face with my sponge. Oh my gosh, this just, it looks so much better. Like, I like how you can manipulate foundations with the type of primer that you use, but this, hands down, so much better with a dewy moisturizing primer. On my dry skin anyways. Had I not sat down and tried a different primer, I probably never would have grabbed that foundation again because I didn't really like it, but now I really do. So now I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup and I'll be back to let you guys know what all I applied and how it went on and stuff like that. I think I came in here at like 2:10, so we'll just make the call time for after I'm like done with putting everything else on. So I'll see you guys here. So I'm finished with my makeup and it's 2:42, so we'll just say it's 2:45. The only thing I didn't do is set my face with setting spray because I had a brain fart and I forgot and I went ahead and applied my mascara first. And normally I apply my setting spray before I do my mascara so it doesn't run. So it's still drying now, so that's something I'll probably just do off camera. But I do plan on using my MAC Fix Plus and then I'll probably go on top of it with this Catrice Prime and Fine Dewy Glow Fixing Spray. So I just want to show you guys what my skin looks like up close. It looks so much better than the first time I used this foundation. Like, so much better. I know I went a little heavy-handed on the blush, but... So I used this Milani Contour and Highlight stick thing. So the contour is on the top. You just roll it up. And then I didn't use the highlighter, but this is in the shade 01. I use that to contour my nose and my lips. And then for bronzer, I used my Chanel Cream Bronzer. Love this stuff. Then to just kind of set that cream bronzer, normally I would set my foundation with powder and then I would go on top of stuff. But then I just did this on a whim and it worked out for me a couple weeks ago. So I've been doing this now. So instead of setting my whole face with loose powder, unless I want a full matte look, I just like take a bronzer. So I took this Lorac Pro Contour palette and I just took this shade right here, which is the medium contour. I just tap it in there and then I tap it on my cheeks and it just sets without me having to put a powder underneath. So I just use that technique to set that cream bronzer instead of having to put a powder on first, like a translucent powder, and then go on top of it with a bronzer, so on and so on. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I think it looks really good. I also did the same. I set the cream bronzer with the powder and I think it looks just fine. It doesn't look muddy or anything like that. And then for blush, I used the Casey Holmes Physicians Formula blush in the shade Copper Cabana. It's that middle shade right there. For highlighter, I used this NARS Albatross. I really like this. It's like a white gold. It's really pretty. What else did I use? For mascara, I'm going to be talking about this in every video. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise Base. So good. And then I really like these together. This is the Wander Beauty Unlashed Volume and Curl Mascara. Super good. And then for brows, I used my Anastasia Dip Brow in the shade Blonde, this ColourPop eyebrow pencil, I don't know the shade. Then to carve them out, which I kind of messed up the tails, but I'm wearing my bangs down, so whatever. But I used this Cella Ivory Lace highlighter. It's kind of like a matte concealer crayon thing that I like to use to carve out my brows. For lips, I used Lime Crime Topist lip liner. How cute is this packaging? And then, I haven't tried this yet. I don't even know if you can buy this anymore. This is the Lime Crime Eraser lipstick. Just like, kind of like a nudie orange shade. And I think that's it. And then I did bake a little bit underneath my bronzer because I was kind of sloppy with it. And I just used my Laura Mercier translucent powder. So that's everything. I'm just so relieved that this time around went 1,000 times better than the first time around. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here and I will do a few check-ins with you guys throughout the day like I always do, and I will see you guys. Hey guys, so it is 7:09, so I've had this foundation on for a little over 4 hours and I think it still looks pretty good. I went a little heavy on the blush, but I think it looks really good. I'm starting to get just a tad bit oily right here on my forehead, but everything else looks really nice. And then all around here, I did a lipstick swatch video after I filmed the foundation and concealer, so, and I did 20 lipsticks, so I kind of wiped off around my mouth a little bit and I ate. But other than that, like the concealer underneath my eyes looks really nice. It didn't crease or anything. My cheeks still look really nice. Everything looks amazing. Here's just a close-up view of my skin. I'll probably keep this foundation on for another like 3 or 4 hours. I'm gonna go for a walk right now, and that's usually like an hour or so, and then I'll see how I'm feeling when I get back, 'cause I'm not feeling very well. So I'm gonna keep it on as long as I possibly can. So I'll see you guys here in a little. Hey guys, so I just got back. It's 9:33. I'm gonna go ahead and hop in the shower, take off my makeup, and go to bed. Like I said, I'm not feeling very well. Otherwise, I would keep it on for like another 2 or 3 hours. But this is what it looks like after 7 hours. Still looks really good. I think if I was going to keep it on for another 2 or 3 hours, I would definitely have to powder my forehead and then I think my chin. But everywhere else looks really nice. Like my under eyes look so good. And then like my cheek area is still good and everything like that. So I'm really glad that I decided to sit down and kind of do a part 2 trying out the COLLAB Beauty Foundation and Concealer, because the first part of this video was like not a good experience for me. So I definitely recommend this foundation if you have dry or oily skin, because I think that you can definitely manipulate this foundation with the primer that you choose to use, because like at the beginning I used a more matte primer and then I used a more moisturizing primer this time around, and the moisturizing primer with my dry skin works 1,000 times better than the matte one. So I think that you would be able to wear this oily or dry skin. I really like it. I think it's a nice base, And I really like the concealer too. I think the concealer is definitely a little bit more full coverage than the foundation, but I do suggest trying this out if you have dry skin. I think this is going to be a beautiful foundation for like the summertime. So let me know if you guys have tried out the foundation or the concealer in the comments below and what you think. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.